spent 15 years of my life on death row. Not just in prison, but most of it on death row. I have all the justifiable reasons to hate and be angry. But I have looked into the tragical mountain of despair and pulled out a stone of hope, love, and compassion. And they attended our trials. And as they attended our trials, and each day I walked in, chained to my feet and to my arms. I couldn't wave to them, and the guard told me not to. All I could do is move my hands, and that's what I did. I'm a symbol of resistance, and I'll be a symbol of resistance to the day I die, as long as there's injustice in this world. In 1969, I went to jail, and I met the most wonderful people I ever met in my life. And who was those? I was a young man at 18, couldn't read or write. I was nearly 19 years old before I could write my mother a letter. Like a whole new life had opened up. It's almost like I was living in darkness. But now I see. So I seek now to tell you there's a better way for us all. In 1973, I was accused, after being involved in the movement for 5 years, I was accused of a murder. They locked down about 150 of us. We was all suspect. When everything was melted down, it was myself and Eugene Allen. We was political, we was outspoken. We had a big mouth, just like I'm here talking now to you all. This is Graham bagged up. The guy that really went to prison with me, he was out in 3 years. You know why? He was talking about the pimps and how, when he got out, how you going to exploit, how you manage it. He went to the board. He told them all the things that they wanted to hear, and they let him out. I didn't have enough sense to go there and do that. I always talked about the other prisoners that they had killed and how they had brutalized them. They said, you always come in here talking about everybody else. Ain't nobody locked up with you. You always talking about the people, we. That's been my life. I went to prison, and when I went and served my time and experienced the reality of capital punishment and going through one trial, I went through 4 long trials. Each trial took the best out of me. I'm nothing really now, but just a spirit that is trying to talk on and trying to make a difference.
We need to do what Rosa Parks said, which is that there's a law that says, oh, it's separate, you know, but equal. We're going to have separate and equal. She said, no, that's what the civil rights movement said. We know separate is never equal. We know what the death penalty is about in this country, and we need to start to say, you know what? Everybody said back then in the early civil rights movement, you're never going to win. People are so racist, and they were able to do it. And part of the reason is that because they had a firm belief in justice. And now, when we talk to people, it's hard for them to say, really? They were separate, you know, people would throw eggs at these people that were sitting down to, you know, desegregate. You know, it's hard to believe. When you see the pictures, you can't even imagine that people used to be that way. Well, you know what? I think people are going to look back to this period and go, how was there so much indifference? You mean people weren't protesting everywhere about Francis Newton? You know, they weren't protesting about Rodney Reed. And I can say, you know what? I was part of the early part of what we did. But I want to be able to say to my daughter, and you know what? Stan T.P. Williams case, because everybody knew about it. And so we got things going, and people started doing stuff, and we started, you know, bringing the case to Texas and to California. And finally, politicians were pushed to put forward legislation like moratoriums, because people unfortunately don't know about Rodney Reed. All of you in Texas should, but we have to say we have to seize the moment right now. Everybody, when I went to the Millions More March, anybody asked, they all know Chucky Williams. We did a Voices tour. There were 200 people. I said, how many people know Frances Newton? This was just after she was executed. 2 people raised their hand. I said, how many people know Stan Tukey Williams? Everybody raised their hand. That's just the reality. So let's seize the moment. Let's get involved. Let's say their voices. We're going to make them our voices. We're going to fight for justice. Get involved. We need your help. We need to build a movement.
We need to be aware of this terrible milestone that is coming as these gruesome statistics mount. The challenge is for everyone here, of course, to go home, to reorganize ourselves, to rededicate ourselves to the task at hand, which is to put ourselves out of business, to realize that you and I will live to see the end of this death penalty. And this is our job, to have a death penalty-free America. I urge you, in the name of all that is good, all that is decent, all that is right, stop executions, stop victims, stop killing, stop this pain, stop the cycle of violence.